right, well, and good morning, everybody, and welcome live here to the Elite Sports Academy here on December 18th, Sunday, December 18th. My name's Devin Poslusny. I am your host today with Mr. Dan Kernan here as my co-host, as well as, guy who does everything with me to basically get in trouble and avoid trouble.
Yeah, pretty much. It's been a good couple weeks so far.
Yeah. So, welcome everybody again to the Elite Sports Academy. Last show before the Christmas, which is why I look like Santa threw up all over me. Right?
I mean, you were rocking the Christmas blazer last week, and now you got a little Santa hat.
That's true.
Rocking the Yankees.
I was going to say.
Carlos Rondon.
I was going to say Yankee Santa hat.
Slowly coming back into the flexing muscle, spending money, which is what you want to see as a Yankees fan.
Yes, of course.
Make that payroll $400 million. I don't care if it gets us a championship.
That's a Yankee fan who is not as necessarily involved in the money conversation. Just if it means World Series, do it.
If you're paying $200 for a ticket to sit in the bleachers, the least they can do is spend some money to get some decent talent around.
Right,
I mean, Aaron Judge for 9 years. We got to be competitive for at least 9 years.
That's true. All right, so folks, today's show, honestly, we're still working on getting into that rhythm of the show where every week you have something. Obviously, during championship time, it's a little bit easier to recap the championship stuff. But point is we got here on our our show day sheet, we have the scores from Lakes Region teams, our recap, things like that. So I figured what we'll do is we're just kind of let things go in a sense where it's just kind of like, let's just talk about the sports, and we have the information in front of us if we need it. But other than that, let's just go.
Yeah,
right?
we can jump right in.
Yeah. So obviously, all Lakes Region schools were playing basketball and ice hockey last week. This past week was opening week for the winter sports season for Division III and Division II. And it was a good week for us. We'll talk about our game schedule. We had Prospect at Winnisquam at Prospect, Belmont Guilford at Laconia Winnisquam Interlakes, a snowstorm. It was an eventful week.
Yeah, I mean you guys got around the Lakes region, covered some decent games, some good games, and some not so good games depending on what side of the fanship you're on.
Well, to be honest, it was a good week. The games were all mostly exciting. Except for maybe one or two, but even then, those were exciting.
Yeah, I mean, they had their moments, yeah.
Yeah, so let's talk real quick, about basketball, because I realized we didn't put our ticker up here with the scores from the divisions.
Oh, there we go, right there at the bottom.
Oh, yeah.
ESPN, look out.
Oh, yeah, we got this. So Laconia started their season. The boys played Manchester West. The girls played Co-Brown. Both teams winning. Boys beating Man West by 84-76. The girls 63-15. Great to see, though, them coming into the season and getting wins right out of the gate.
That's how you want to start. I mean, you want to get after it early, and Laconia boys and girls for the last handful of years have been competitive regardless of division, both when they were in Division III and now in Division II. You want to win every game, but I mean, if you look at the girls' score, 63-15, that's pretty convincing. You don't want to use the word blowout. That's a blowout.
Yep. I was going to say, I don't mind using the word blowout.
I'll absolutely use it. But in the boys' side, I mean, that's 84-76. That's a competitive game.
Right.
I mean,
that's
it could have been some free throws late to balloon the score to 84, but it's a good start for both of those teams.
Yeah, for sure.
For Laconia as well.
For sure. We'll have the girls on Tuesday against Sanborn, so that'll be excited to see them. Then, of course, Guilford continuing to do Guilford things.
It's their world, and we're lucky to live in it.
The boys and girls teams both winning against Somersworth and Newfound. Both, honestly, convincing games. Boys, Somersworth 75-28, girls 48-14. Newfound for the boys 67-26, and for the girls 35-21. The girls' Newfound game was the closest out of all of those, but even then it was 35-21.
Oh, yeah, and I mean, we could start with the boys' team first. I mean, they're 2 or 3 time defending champs. I mean, Somersworth, I know, has been down a little bit here of late the last few years, so they're, going to be in some battles. I know they're having a little bit more talent coming through now. And Newfound graduated a lot of guys from last year's team, and I know Jesse's still trying to figure out what the best way is to get all those pieces together into flow to where they want to be. But it's tough to do that against a really strong Guilford team. You've got the two Reese brothers who put on a pretty good show. I saw a nice dunk against that Newfound game. So those two are going to be tough, and that Guilford team's got a lot of length, or height, I guess. That's a tough team to play. For girls, I haven't seen Summersworth girls basketball in a while, unless they play interlakes, obviously. Newfound, I saw them play our girls the other day, a couple weeks ago, and though they have shorter numbers than normal, the 35-21, that's a competitive game.
Yep.
I mean, a little on the lower scoring side, but Newfound is going to be in a lot of games just based on the talent that they have, even though their numbers aren't as strong.
Right. Yeah, for sure.
And Courier is a good coach over at Guilford. Like he's coached his fair share of teams, both boys and girls. Like he's done it long enough to know, the buttons to push and the pieces to put in. Like he knows what he's doing over there. He's a good coach.
No, for sure. And I've seen it. I saw him coach last year. When I'm substituting at Guilford, I'll run into his classroom, and he's a little bit more accessible than Coach Acalano because he's also Coach A is the AD there.
What's Courier teaching over there?
Math.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So I'll jump into his room, just be like, okay, hey, here's what we got this week. What are your thoughts? And just like when we covered Winnisquam Prospect, I was just like, what are your thoughts? And he gave me his thoughts, and it helps me prepare, but also it's great to, hear him not just be that coach who's just like that body on the sideline.
Oh, yeah,
like
no.
He's actually.
And when he was at Interlakes, him and I talked endless about not just girls sports, because he was our girls basketball coach for a little while, but just everything in general, just sports in general. I mean, he's an easy guy to talk to about anything, really. So Guilford got a really good one over there, that's for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
Big shoes to fill, because wasn't Rick Forge there?
I think so.
For years and years and years. So, I mean, that's a tough one. That's like following Pinkham whenever that happens. That'd be tough.
Oh, come on. We all know Pinkham. We're just going to nail the lid on the box, and there you go.
Yeah.
He's never leaving. He's never leaving. Of course, then just going right down the line here, Interlakes. Boys and girls both played Belmont. Only the boys played St. Thomas. We could talk a little bit more about the St. Thomas game because we were both there.
Yeah.
But for the Belmont side of things, the boys beat Interlake 63-44, and the girls got defeated by Belmont 47-14. Girls game, a little bit harder to sit there and, I don't want to say make an argument that it wasn't necessarily a blowout, but only putting up 14 against 47, that's a little tough.
Obviously, I wasn't there. I was at the Belmont boys game doing the clock. From what I heard from both sides, sloppy game early in the season. So you're still kind of tweaking out some things here and there. A lot of turnovers. Our girls team is younger than some other, probably Division IIIs out there. I think we start 2 or 3 seniors, but we're playing freshmen and sophomores in the guard roles, and that's a tough spot to put a young player in that situation where you're just like, all right, you're the point guard, bring the ball up the floor, and if you're facing a double team, you're getting trapped in the corner. I mean, you're just doing everything you can to not turn the ball over, and it happens. I mean, it's part of the game, but to be doing it at a younger age, it makes it a little more difficult. I thought they played okay against Newfound. I thought they played better than they had in the past. I'd only heard some small stuff about the Belmont game other than, it was sloppy. And 14 points that's tough to, if you're not going to score, it's going to be tough to beat anybody.
Right.
Regardless of the opponent you're playing.
Exactly. No, for sure. And then, of course, like I said, the boys game, 63-44. That's a close game, all in basketball terms. You were there. So
I was there.
Good.
It wasn't as close as the score makes it look, if that's a way to describe it. First quarter was good. First quarter was close. It was 15-12 at one point, and Belmont was solid. They're a really good team, like we talked about last week. They're going to be top 4 team. If they're not, then something happened. But they're good. At one point, it was 15-23, 24, and then all of a sudden it was, you look up and it's 35-15 like that, and And it's tough. That's a tough team to try to come back against. And if you're not hitting shots, and we were in a stretch where we weren't hitting shots, little dance party going on behind us. If you're not hitting shots, it's tough to win. And that Belmont team was good. They played a really good zone defense, and they got a lot of really tall, athletic, kind of lanky guys. So it makes it tough to beat. And that was our boys' first home game. So it was a tough one, but Belmont's good. They battled for the most part. St. Thomas was a much better game.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, we were at St. Thomas. So I'll admit, going into that game, I fell for the I don't want to say St. Thomas stereotype, but I fell for, the idea of, oh, well, it's St. Thomas. They're really good. Your only good game with St. Thomas is when they play Guilford or Belmont, because they're St. Thomas. And I'll admit, I was going into that thinking this is going to possibly be rough. I will say that I was pleasantly surprised, and actually I'm glad that in a sense they made me eat my words, because it was an exciting game, for sure.
I was curious about how they were going to bounce back after the Belmont game.
Interlakes team.
Yes, absolutely. I can't talk for St. Thomas. I don't know anything about them other than the fact that they're athletic and they can get anyone they want, within reason. So I can only talk for the Interlakes group. I mean, Belmont game was tough. I know every single one of those guys on that Interlakes team. A good portion of them are soccer or baseball guys, so I see them throughout the week a lot.
Right.
And we're still in that early period of both coach and players feeling each other out, trying to figure out what's going to work, what's not going to work. There were some guys who were frustrated after the Belmont game.
Yeah.
So you're just curious as to how you'll bounce back from that. I'll sit here and say I thought St. Thomas was going to roll. I did. I mean, St. Thomas is, usually very highly athletic team. They have a lot of guys who can fill it up. They can shoot the ball. They can rebound the ball. They're coached extremely well year after year after year. I know Dave's a newer coach now over there, but he's been doing it for a while. I thought that St. Thomas was going to get into a rhythm, and I didn't know if we would be able to keep up. Fortunately for us, I think St. Thomas had one of their key players who had 14 points, I think, in the first quarter. He finished with like 20 because he got into foul trouble, and that helped us because we didn't necessarily, I thought, we were trying to defend him as best as we could, but I feel like if he was able to play more minutes, this score is a little bit different.
Yeah.
He was just one of those guys that not necessarily takes over a game, but he was doing his best to put his fingerprints on it from the very beginning.
Right.
And the Interlakes guys battled. It was 47-49 with a minute and a half left. Like, it was close. It was a close battle. We just came out on the wrong side of it. We just had to, couldn't hit our shots late, and it was just one of those things. St. Thomas took the air out of the ball with the last 2 minutes left, and they came out with a win.
Right. No, I mean, for sure. And like I said, it was, from a broadcast standpoint, it was an exciting game up to the end. And like I said, and again, I hate to admit this, somebody out there is going, aha! But I thought what you said, I thought St. Thomas was going to come in and put on a little bit of a show in the beginning and then take off in that fourth quarter. So much so that when it was 5 minutes to go and it was like 43-44, I was like, wait a minute. I was in that mindset, and I was like, wait a minute, hang on. Yeah, and it was good. It was exciting.
And just based on what St. Thomas has been the last few years, is kind of puts on that kind of facade that they're going to be a really, really good team. And they are a good team. And don't get me wrong, I'm not going to sit here and slander St. Thomas and say they're not that good because, Interlakes battled them tough. They're still a really good team.
Right.
That's a Interlakes team that's still trying to figure some stuff out, and it was a good showing. It was a good basketball game. Right. That's what you want, regardless of the outcome. You want to watch a good competitive game, and that's what we got, and that's what you got to live stream. That was a good one.
Exactly. I mean, and I'm glad. I never want to have my words. I don't want to ever eat my words, but I'm glad that Interlakes made me. In the sense where they stepped up and they played games, because that's exciting. we're going to see them a handful of time at the holiday tournament. It makes me really excited to see them.
It gives you a little bit of belief that though we're younger with limited varsity experience with a new coach, that we're going to be able to be competitive in some more matchups.
Right.
Like, yeah, we got routed a little bit by Belmont, and we've got Guilford, who's really good. Like, if you can play competitive against the top 4 or 5, then you're in good shape. But you really got to beat 6 through 13 if you want to have any chance to make a playoff.
Right.
Like, you should beat 13 down. Those are guaranteed. You should, if you consider yourself a playoff team, you need to beat 13 and down. If you're a fringe, you need to beat those middle guys, and then you just want to compete against the top 4 or 5. Just see where you are gauged-wise with those top teams that are competing for championships all the time, that aren't just talking about, let's just make the playoffs. That'll be good enough for us.
Right, exactly. Let's just get to 16, position 16.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, it was a really good game overall. And if you haven't watched it yet, go back and rewatch it here on DPPGnetwork.com for free.
Absolutely.
There's my subtle plug. Not so subtle. Newfound, I know neither of us saw Newfound at all this week, but we'll just go over the scores. For the boys, boys and girls both played Berlin. Boys lost to them 49-40. Girls lost to them 51-50. And, of course, both teams also played Guilford. They moved it up from Friday to Thursday. Unfortunately, both teams losing to Guilford. Boys 67-26 and the girls 35-21. We already talked about that. Like I said, I didn't see anything about Newfound. I'm assuming you didn't.
No.
But I mean, just from that one score, girls against Berlin, 51-50. That's not a bad. That's not a bad score.
No, it's a competitive game. I mean, that's what you're looking for. I don't know who the coach is up at Berlin anymore, if it's still Picard. But usually Berlin girls teams are coached well. They're competitive. They're doing everything that you want a team to do. I saw Newfound, their girls teams. Their team is good. They're going to be tough. They're going to be really a tough team to play, regardless of how good or skilled you are. But I mean, 51-50. That's 2 possessions. You're good. That's what, as a coach, you're going back and be like, all right, what bad shot did we take here that if we had made it a little bit better or took a higher quality shot, maybe it's 52-51.
Right.
Those close games are where you kind of second guess, like, maybe I should have ran this inbounds and not that inbounds. And, so it's still early and you want to be competitive. That's, if you're going to lose, you want to lose by 1, not by 20.
For sure. For sure. Let's talk about Franklin real quick. Both teams played at Newmarket. They only had one game this week because their Friday game against Groveton got canceled or postponed due to Mother Nature. But both teams for Franklin, unfortunately, lost 63-14 for the boys, 51-38 for the girls. Obviously, neither of us saw, or I didn't see that game. I'm assuming you didn't really hear much about it. But kind of the girls' game a little closer score-wise than the boys' game, but still a loss is a loss. That's tough for Franklin.
Yeah, and I know Franklin's in a little bit of a tougher patch of late. You don't really want to harp on it, but it's like in everything. Another football team was competitive, but everything else has been kind of down. Newmarket for boys, I can't talk from the girls' side because I've never watched a Newmarket girls team. Newmarket boys are usually one of the better Division IV schools. I think they won a championship not that long ago. They're usually in the top 5, 6, 7, if not higher. I mean, they're a really good program over there. So that's a top. I mean, look, no, I'm not shocked looking at a 63-14 like that. I know that's a pretty solid team for Newmarket. I couldn't tell you anything about them other than the fact that their program has been highly competitive of late. You just hope that it's still early and that these Franklin teams can turn it around and be competitive, the rest of the way.
Right. For sure. Couldn't have said it better.
And I know you'll cover some Franklin games down the road, so it's not like we won't be able to see them a little bit later.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and unfortunately, just the snowstorm created a situation that we weren't able to cover them.
Yeah, I mean, it happens. There was not many games. I know some southern schools still played, but that's Division 1 or 2.
Or they were over by the Seacoast.
Yeah, they didn't get that
so
much.
they, I think we had, like Dover and Portsmouth or somebody were still playing, or maybe it was the St. Thomas girls versus Portsmouth or something like that, and it was just, they got rain, so they were able to play. But anyways, for Prospect Mountain, both teams played Berlin and Winnisquam. For the boys, they lost against Berlin and Winnisquam. Winnisquam was 61-53. Berlin was 44-43. Another close nail-biter. And then for the girls, played Winnisquam 66-45 and Berlin 57-42. I didn't hear anything about the boys' game. We were at the girls' game against Winnisquam, and, I mean, we can talk about this a little bit, just to kind of transition into what we covered. But we had talked about last week Prospect having 9 girls in their whole program. And when I did a little bit more digging, they had 9 girls last year. So we're sitting here going, oh, my goodness, 9 girls. But they're like,
this is
9 girls.
Us, yeah.
Like, they're like, all right. And they went into the playoffs last year. So it was funny because Winnisquam, I heard, had 12 girls. So I was like, okay, not a little bit better, but not major. Winnisquam showed up off the bus with 6 girls game ready.
That's difficult.
And I walked over to Coach DeWalga, and Coach DeWalga, and if anybody knows Coach DeWalga, they know that he's a happy-go-lucky, hey, how are you doing? Like, let's go. And he wasn't. He was just like, hey. And I was like, what's wrong? What's going on? Like, you could just tell, and he was just like, I have 6 girls.
Yeah, that's difficult.
So it was, honestly, the first 3 quarters really fun, really competitive. Tony Haddix and I were working the game, and like at halftime, we were like, this is good, really good game. Like, we kind of, again, we were both a little concerned with the fact that it was, 9 girls to 6. Like, we're thinking, okay, Winnisquam's got 1 sub, so what's going to happen is that
someone gets into foul trouble,
or somebody gets tired, or something. Foul trouble obviously was probably the thing that could have happened more than a player getting tired. More likely thing. There you go. Sorry, it took me a second. But, I mean, it was definitely one of those things where it was like, we went into the game with brand new storylines.
Yeah, I mean, with 6, I mean, I haven't seen a varsity game finish with under the 5, but I've seen a few JV games finish with 4 girls because of girls fouling out, and it's not like there's not a lot. I mean, they blow the whistle a ton in a girls' game anyway, so it's not surprising. I mean, 6, that's tough. That's tough. I mean, but it's the end of the year. A lot of kids are getting sick. People are starting their vacations a little bit earlier than normal because you have your Christmas tournament, so it's not.
Well, I mean, and that was the thing that Coach DeWalga said that was, he was going to bring 9 or whatever, 10, and the 3, I think it was 9, the 3 that he was going to bring were sick or I don't remember the exact reason, but it was like something out of their control. Like, it wasn't like they were just like, we're not playing today. Like, it was something other than that. But, I mean, it was a good game, and we'll talk more about that in a minute. But for hockey, let's talk real quick. Laconia, Winnisquam, Interlakes, they had 1 game this week, and it was against Belmont Guilford. And unfortunately, the track record.
It didn't go well.
I was going to say. Not go well. I was going to say there is a stereotype around when Laconia, Winnisquam, Interlakes, and Belmont Guilford play each other, and it's going to be quote unquote blowout. And this game. It filled
that mold right away.
And it stinks. It was 12-2, for those of you who do not know. 12-2, the final score. I mean, we both called that game. I'm trying to get him to be an announcer when I'm not here. See, I'm training. We're working on it. But it was one of those games that was just like, it got to the point where, and I mean, I don't have to tell you this, but it got to the point where BG would score a goal, and the place would be quiet. And it was just like...
And a lot of them, like, I'm not going to sit here and claim I understand hockey because there's a lot of stuff I don't know. But some of those BG guys were just coming over the blue line and clear shot right on goal.
Right.
And the Laconia Winnisquam Interlakes goalie did a really good job. I mean, you're going to see 30-some-odd shots a game, probably on the low end, especially against BG.
Right.
And he made some really good saves. But he was also kind of on an island a few times. And that hurts. And I know it's early. The LWI team only has 12 skaters, 12 or 13 players total, so that makes it a little more difficult. BG is BG. They've been very good since hockey came around here. It's fun because everybody in these two teams played with each other growing up, so it was kind of fun to hear that like chirping back and forth that wasn't in like a negative sportsmanship. Like it was just kind of fun listening to like some of the guys go at it. I couldn't tell you who scored the goals for BG. There's a lot of them. I can tell you that Zach Spakuza scored the 2 goals for Laconia Winnisquam Interlakes, and the 2 goals he scored were basically like kids from BG on his back and a breakaway. Like,
yeah, he earned them.
Oh yeah, absolutely, and that's the only way they were going to score. Unfortunately, was if Zach could get the puck and do those kind of things. I didn't think they gave up. I thought they skated well, to the end. It was just that's just a David versus Goliath matchup, and Goliath did exactly what you expect to happen. Right.
Well, it was still a fun rivalry. The place was packed.
Yeah, there's a lot of people there for opening night.
Right, and
sponsored by the DPP Sports Show.
Nope.
Presented, whatever.
Yeah, close enough. Our Wednesday night hockey series is the DPPG Sports Show Wednesday Night Hockey. That sponsorship spot is available, by the way. So if somebody out there wants to grab that, go ahead, reach out to us today. DPPG Sports Show is not paying much.
No.
So for the Bulldogs, though, of Belmont Guilford, they had 3 games this week. First game at Kingswood, 4-0 win. We just talked about Laconia Winnisquam Interlakes, and then their last game of the week happening yesterday against Sanborn Epping, and it was 8-1 the final score. But I can tell you that it felt like BG scored 8 goals, but they were earned. It wasn't like teeing it up from the red line and just going.
Yeah.
It was, fighting that goalie. The goalie was, I think it was Colin Dupre. He did a great job. I want to say BG had almost like 40 shots on goal, and they did he did a really good job of making sure that he was that brick wall. And you go back and watch our game coverage, the 8 goals that BG scored were literally they were hockey goals. They were top shelf, they were bottom shelf, 5-hole, everything. Like it wasn't, I don't want to say garbage goals because there's really no such thing as a garbage goal in sports, but
you've never coached.
Fair enough. But point is that they were all very, they were earned. They were earned type goals, and it was a good game. Like I said, 8-1, little tough. Sanborn Epping got their 1 goal when BG was up by 4 or 5. So at that point, it was kind of like, yay, they scored. Yeah, you got a lot more to go.
You got to chip away a little further, yeah.
But no, it was overall a really good game. And like I said, you're going to be watching that game here on DPPGnetwork.com. Any final thoughts on the score recap before we talk about our game recap?
No, I mean, there's a lot of really good games. Lakes region is going to be pretty well represented, I think, both boys and girls in basketball, boys and girls hockey. I think there's going to be some really good talent. I mean, there are going to be some good games. Laconia or Guilford Belmont's going to be a good matchup. Interlakes Newfound was a decent matchup. I think Interlakes plays Prospect Mountain again this coming week. So that'll be good. I mean, these teams are all playing in the Christmas tournament, so it's a good little tune-up for that. And it's good. Everything's good. Hockey's thriving. BG's really good. I know Kennett lost to Berlin the other day 2-0. Those would be 2 tougher teams for both Guilford to play or Belmont Guilford, and then Laconia Winnisquam Interlakes. Those will be another 2 tougher games, but it's still really early. Pieces can mold together. So
right, exactly. No, for sure. I mean, it was definitely it was a good week. I'm glad to see one of the things when I was writing the notes up last night at like 2 a.m, it was the close scores. The promise of
competitive games.
Competitive games. I was going to, and there are some games like we talked about that was like, well, that wasn't really competitive. They just, both teams were off their game, or something like that. But still, 51-50, 44-43, like these closer, 51-47, these closer games, it makes me feel more excited and confident that I can just throw a dart onto a board and go, we're going to go here, and it's going to be a good game.
Yeah, you're going to get some, I would say Guilford Belmont will be close or competitive.
For basketball.
Yes.
We have that one circled twice on the calendar.
Exactly. I don't know if any other game Guilford plays will be close, unless it's like a southernish school that I don't know about.
We'll have the boys against Stevens on Thursday.
But other than that, they're the defending champs for a reason.
Right.
They brought back a lot of talent from last year's team. So I don't know if they're going to be playing a lot of closer games. The rest of the Lakes region, though, I think those games will be competitive between each other without actually looking and watching. I've only watched 3 games. It was St. Thomas boys, Belmont boys, and Newfound girls against Interlakes. And 2 of those 3 games have been competitive. Mm-hmm. The Belmont game, that got away early. As Yogi Berra would say once, back in the day, it got late early. It just got away. There wasn't a whole lot you can do. Belmont was hitting everything in a stretch, and they flexed their muscle, and it was over.
Right.
But the rest of the games I saw between both teams were competitive, and, you're hoping for that as a fan, as a broadcaster, as, an athletic director, as a coach, as players. That's what you're looking for. And, looking at some of these scores, you've got some blowouts, but, you've got some teams that are competitive or some games that are competitive, and that just bodes well for the remainder of December into January and February.
Yeah, for sure. And it's exciting because, you're seeing these closer games, and it makes you wonder, we have 2 games on our thing here with Berlin, and they were both, it was the girls were close with Newfound and the boys were close with Prospect. But, that makes me wonder, come February, is Berlin going to be hitting their strides? Is Berlin for boys and girls?
I think.
If you're already seeing that now.
So what I think, and granted, it's early, and I don't want to, upset anybody. So I'm not going to go in that route. I think
now we're all curious.
I think so. Berlin girls have been competitive for a few years. They've been in that middle area, 8 through 13, for a handful of years now. They're coached well. The boys team really hasn't been good up in Berlin for a long time, probably 5 years.
They're all playing hockey.
Mostly, yeah. But they were really good 10 years ago, and it helped when you had the entire Arsenal family playing basketball. One, Curtis played did a PG year, then he went to Plymouth State. Now he's an assistant coach up there. Great player, great guy. I love Curtis. One of his brothers is coaching the team now up in Berlin, and I think he's starting to turn a corner to be a little bit more competitive, and your scores are starting to show that. They beat Prospect Mountain boys by 1. They beat Newfound boys by 9. Those necessarily in the past have been games that Berlin doesn't win. And the fact that they came out of them with close games only bodes well for them for the rest of the year. And I know that we're more of a Lakes region-based, sports casting or what we want to call it. But I know a lot of Berlin guys, both through baseball and soccer, that are up playing basketball or not. And Division III sports are more fun when the North Country is competitive.
Yeah, fair enough. And Berlin, as much as we are a Lakes region based and mostly,
but they still come down here and play.
They come down here, and we circle when they come down here. Not only because they're usually good in their baseballs and their hockeys and soccers and things like that, but also we want to help out the Berlin fan base that isn't able to get down here for a 3:30 start.
Yeah, they do travel well. I will say that in most sports they will bring busloads of people in.
That's true.
Saw that. I saw that firsthand at the Final Four last spring when they were playing Monadnock. We were obviously sitting on the Berlin side, just based on the fact that that's who the guys wanted to play again, and we knew a lot of those guys from playing summer ball together. So we were, sitting in a crowd full of the entire Berlin town, basically, for a Final Four game. Like they came down. So I mean, they travel really well, regardless of sport. You just want to see the North Country be competitive, and there are other schools up there besides White Mountain.
Yeah, for sure. Hey, real quick before we go on, 35 minutes in, 1-0 Argentina over France, just for anybody wanting to follow the World Cup.
It's a messy PK if you're curious on how it happened.
I wanted to also bring it up because behind Dan, you see a bunch of the softball dads. They're watching the World Cup. So you can see them.
You might see some facial expressions from me as well, as I'm also covering. I'm following it.
I was going to say, Argentina just scored their second goal. Are you behind? I'm sorry. Did I just ruin that for you? Sorry.
I am a little bit delayed.
Oh, sorry. My bad. Oh, geez. All right.
I shouldn't have bet on France.
My bad. Totally just ruined it for Dan. Dan's like, wait, what? Like
I'm not on data right now.
Sorry, my bad.
It's messy again, isn't it?
Sorry, my bad. Totally just ruined that for Dan. Now, see, look, he's like 20 seconds behind.
I just got it. This stinks.
This stinks.
Sorry, it's 35 minutes in. We're good. Come on, Gerard, get this together here, buddy.
My goodness, what a goal though.
Yeah, it was nice. It was nice. It's like watching Guilford soccer.
Way to relate it back to the school, back to the show. Anyways, we'll try our best to keep you updated. I know most of you probably have our show on like a laptop, and then the TV. Don't forget, by the way, if you're watching on Facebook Live or even YouTube, feel free to comment on the video. I'll be able to see. I got to see a couple people commenting already. So feel free to share your thoughts. Also, if you want to ask questions, I mean, why not, right? Like, ask us a question and we'll go from there. Or if you have ways of contacting us, I mean, we're both on our phones here. So, anyways.
I know. I'm getting all kinds of grief for rooting for France now. Come on.
Sorry I brought it up. Shouldn't have brought attention.
No, I would have saw it as soon. I saw them celebrating, and I thought, maybe France scored, but I guess there's a billion people watching. I guess we're all Messi fans today. I mean, don't get me wrong, he's great, but I wanted France to win.
So let's talk real quick about, what we covered this week. And actually, I think I'm missing a game on here. Oh, no, it's on the back of the paper. So we covered, obviously, Winnisquam at Prospect. I talked about this a little bit with the 9 girls to 6 girls, 9 for Prospect, 6 for Winnisquam. One thing that I did notice, though, immediately was that, and you'll probably appreciate this as a coach because of the strategic side of it, there was automatically, you could kind of tell that there was they have 6 girls with 1 sub, utilize that. Prospect brought high tempo and made Winnisquam work. And, the end of the scoreboard here was, 66-45. But that gap was put on in the fourth quarter. It was close all the way up, and then you finally saw Winnisquam start to fall flat.
Yeah, and
it clearly, and I don't want to put words in the mouth of the Prospect coach or thoughts or speak for him, but it doesn't take much to see that he said, go press them. You're going to tire them out, and then you'll be able to gap.
Well, and it's tough. As a coach, when you're seeing that group come off into a gym or off the bus or whatnot, in a sport where you're actively running, soccer, basketball, hockey, that's the goal. I've said it a handful of times in the fall, they have 13 guys. We just move the ball. We're just playing possession. We're not trying to do anything. In basketball, if you're in a limited number, you're probably going to try to do the same thing. You're going to push, you're going to pressure, you're going to do all that. You want to attack, basically, because if you can get them into foul trouble, then you have to make them make substitutions even more frequently than planned. But when they have 6 and you can only sub 1, you're pulling one girl out who has 3 fouls early in the second.
Right.
You're almost handcuffed. You got to put her back in when somebody's tired, or do you want to try to save her so that she doesn't fall out, so that you can have into the fourth. Like you said, if the score got away in the fourth quarter, that's just based on the fact that they were run ragged through the first three quarters. I can't imagine Winnisquam was probably pressing too much because you want to not necessarily avoid the tired legs, but you want to do your best to prevent it.
Right.
So you're probably maybe in a half-court trap or something along those lines. But it's playing with short numbers is difficult, and as a coach who's done it, it's not an enjoyable feeling. You hurt for the players on the team that you're giving your best effort, but when you have limited numbers, unless they're all Michael Jordan out there, it's gonna be tough to win games like that.
Right. I mean, and Winnisquam's got some star players like McDonald, and I'm trying to think of other, like the Carter sisters. They're solid. Those are three players right there that are really good for the Bears. And I think that Phil P was out, so there's another major player for the Bears, and so there's four players. One of them wasn't there, So then you have these other three who were leading the team, and you had some underclassmen. I can't think of their names off the top of my head, but it definitely was. It was exciting to see at first because, like I said, high tempo. Prospect brought it. Winnisquam kept up.
I mean, they still scored 45 points
Exactly.
with 6 girls.
Yeah.
Gerard getting subbed out here 40 minutes in. That's not good.
World Cup update. But yeah, I mean, it was definitely a good game. It was just fun as an analyst to sit there and go, okay, whether he meant to do it or not, Prospect's coach totally took advantage of that.
No, I mean, yeah.
And again, maybe he didn't mean to, but that's the way it looked at least.
And you see it a lot. Like, I've done a handful of middle school games. It's a lot of very high pressure. Just make it difficult to inbound the ball. And I feel like that could have very well been something you would do if you're in a varsity game and you're only playing against 6. You're going to make it difficult. You're going to make them work a little harder to inbound things. So it's not shocking. It's not shocking to have that be the game plan going into it.
Right. I mean, it's definitely, I don't know, and especially numbers-wise, let's say you're going into this and you're saying, okay, well, hey, we got 9, they got 12. Oof, they got 3 subs. And then all of a sudden they get off the bus and they're like, oh, wait, we got 3 more than them.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's crazy the strategics.
And when you're in small numbers like that, I mean, you're carrying 12, but you might not be playing all 12.
Right.
It's the same in any varsity game, realistically. You might have, 15, 16, but you're not actually, going 15 deep, really.
Right. I mean,
it's just nice to have that little extra buffer if you need it.
Right. Especially, like I said, in the third quarter, I had realized, there were a couple players for Winnisquam that had 4 fouls. And it was like, wait a minute. if these two players get fouled out, well, now Winnisquam's down to 4. What happens? Like, that was, for me as a broadcaster, I'm like, I don't have the rule book.
Yeah.
Like, do we keep playing?
Yeah.
Or is that it? Like, what are we doing? So anyways, thankfully we didn't get to that point.
You just play with 4, and it's basically a box zone defense.
Jeez.
It's not ideal. It's kind of crappy for everybody involved if that happens.
Right. And
it's
not
enjoyable.
Winnisquam played well in that sense that as soon as they recognized that they had, 4 fouls on them, they stopped. They played a little bit easier, which also kind of played into the hand of Prospect, knowing that they could go right by this person and the person's not going to foul them, because if they foul them, then they're out.
Yeah, you play a little bit of dummy defense a little bit.
Yeah. So overall, though, a good game. It was exciting, like I said. I was a little concerned with the lower numbers, wondering, if it's going to be, I don't want to say a sloppy game, but if it was going to be one of those games that's kind of like, but it was still a really good game. We talked about Belmont, Guilford, at Laconia, Winnisquam, Interlakes. You and I talked a little bit at the arena about feeling like Laconia, Winnisquam, Interlakes was missing some stuff. And you had mentioned pre-show about, and actually I agreed with you that, they have two major players, and then everybody else is also, they're good players, but you have, Spakuza, and who's your other one?
I would say it would probably be it has to be Big A, Austin Keenan.
Yeah.
Who I had both of those guys on the soccer team with me in the fall. Obviously, JP's been in there for a few years, and then Goodwin.
Right.
who was there for, last year. I think he's a junior. Could very well be a sophomore. So, I mean, we just named 4 guys.
Right.
And, you're playing 6v6, and it's tough. I mean, BG's a tough team to compete against anyway.
Right.
And we might have been, the Laconia Winnisquam Interlakes team. I call them we because it's Interlakes. It's just they looked a little slower, like skating-wise, and I don't necessarily know if that's youth against experience, if it's not strong skaters per se, which makes hockey even more difficult to play because it's not just using your athleticism to get up and down the ice. I mean, you got to be able to skate and stop and turn and all of that. Like that in itself is hard. If anybody's sitting here, as an ice skater,
right.
Like it's difficult. Now, add the playing aspect to it. It's early. It's still really early.
I mean, there's that, and also something I thought about after the fact was the fact that you look at the two teams, and I'm not saying that this is done on purpose, but the amount of New England Wolves players on BG compared
it's going to be much higher.
LWI.
It's going to be much higher, yes.
Yeah, and it's not like I'm not saying, because they only recruit from BG. That's not it. It's just that I feel like it's just I mean, there's that, but also I was going to say, I feel like that's just coincidence in a sense, and unfortunately because of that, you have players who've been playing since August.
It's just that's a thing. It's you have it with most sports. You can see, who plays more than just the one season.
Right.
In the past, as long as Interlakes has been involved with hockey, there's usually a handful of kids that play, whether it's Wolves or, any other AAU type of hockey team experience. It's 1 or 2 kids each season, if that. And I can't talk for anybody else on that Laconia Winnisquam Interlakes team. I know Zach's one of those guys. I know Zach plays multiple hockey teams at the same time. He's been doing it for years.
Right.
And he makes that schedule work so where he's eligible for everything. But I don't know if there's anybody else doing that right now. I know Austin's done it in the past, but I can't talk about any of the other guys because I just don't know them personally enough to do that.
Slacking
but
over here.
I think that a lot of those BG kids probably play together more often than not, so you have a little bit more or a better chemistry,
right.
So that when you get into your high school season, you're ready to go. And that it's one of those things. I mean, the Laconia Winnisquam Interlakes team's only been together for, 2 or 3 years now?
Yeah.
I mean, it's still a fairly new co-op, so it's
Laker,
not unheard of to still have not necessarily a little bit of struggles, but that figuring out period,
right? I mean,
of what you're trying to do,
and especially since you brought it up. Don't mind me, I'm just doing something, setting up something. You brought up the fact that you're playing together, like BG's been playing together, or not BG, but certain players have been playing together since whenever.
5 or 6 years old.
Yeah,
7 years old.
Or not even that, just I'm thinking like this season, since August or whenever. Yeah. But the thing is that, and this is kind of an advantage for BG, they are strategic players on a team. The Garens. Well, Evan is a forward, or one of those strikers if you related it to soccer, and Owen is a sweeper for defense.
Yeah.
Then you have, Mackenzie. And then you have, like, the other BG Wolves-connected players, but they're playing strategic positions.
They were a very strong team start to finish.
Right.
They were winning a lot of face-offs. They were taking high-quality shots. They were a really good team. I've watched a fair share of hockey over the last few years. That BG team was good. They were very good. They were doing a lot of things really well outside of the score.
Right.
Outside of the shots they were taking. Like some of the stuff they were doing was just outstanding that you want to see.
Right, exactly.
And I'm sure, I didn't see them play Sanborn Epping yesterday, but I'm sure that translated as well to yesterday's game. They probably did the same things that they were doing there. They just, they were good.
I mean, BG is one of the only teams that I've ever seen consistently get shorthanded goals.
Yeah, they're going to kill off penalties, no problem.
Yeah, like it's crazy because normally when you have a team that gets put on the penalty and they're on the penalty kill, they're just playing, catch and release. Get the puck, send it the other way. BG, they're just like, all right, let's go.
We talked about it a little bit in the broadcast during the game when we were talking about penalty kills and power plays and all that. That entire game last week felt like BG was on a power play.
Right.
From start to finish.
And there were no penalties in that game.
No, they didn't call a single one.
No penalties. Which, by the way, was mind-blowing in itself.
Outstanding for the beginning of the season, first game for both teams did not have a penalty. That's a little bit absurd. I don't know. Maybe we missed some. But like
we were sleeping during that time.
It just had that kind of vibe that they were up. They had like a couple man advantage, and it's hard to overcome at times.
Yeah,
it's just. I mean, you just got to give credit where credit is due. BG's good. They're going to finish at the top of the division.
Period. Good.
Done. Yeah. I mean,
bam. Yeah.
They're going to be good. It'll be nice to see what they do against Berlin.
Yeah.
Who's obviously another notorious Division III power.
Kennett.
Yeah.
They're playing them on Wednesday.
Berlin and Kennett battled to a 2-0 win for Berlin the other day. So that was a close game. So it'll be nice to see what they do against some of those other teams that'll finish at the top along with them.
For sure. Sorry, I'm trying to get Coach Christie to jump in real quick. One of the owners of Elite Sports Academy. You got to get the voice here.
Yeah, might as well.
But he totally just shook his head like, no.
Nah, he's doing the Santa thing over here.
Whatever. Where's our gift?
I know.
Hang on a minute.
That's us getting to hang out in here.
Yeah, that's true. Here's your Christmas gift. Here's your corner. Thank you.
Yeah.
No, but I mean, definitely BG in general, I think, to translate over to Sanborn Epping when they played them yesterday, they had a good battle. Like I said, it felt like more of a hockey game. Yeah, 8-1 numbers-wise seems like, that was I don't want to say blowout, but that's a high-scoring game.
I mean, if they're scoring 2 or 3 goals per period, I mean, by the time you get to the third period, it's probably 4 or 5-1, 5-0. I mean, it's still it's not out of reach, really. It's high school sports. You can score 5 goals in a quick period of time if things go right for you, there's nothing really there. But, I mean, 8-1 is still 8-1, but you can still have a closer competitive 8-1.
Right, exactly. I mean, and like I said here in the note, BG battle or was able to just capitalize on more opportunities, and we talked about that earlier in the show, where it was, they took their shot, they scored, and it wasn't a garbage goal. It wasn't one of those, oh man, he should have got that. It was that's a top shelf. If you go back and watch the game and look at it from our behind the camera goal, and you map out, I bet they got all 5 points. 5-hole, bottoms, tops.
Yeah.
They went around the horn, I guess you could say.
I mean, they were hitting the water bottle when we were doing the game Wednesday. I mean, they were drilling the Gatorade bottle up top there.
Exactly. It wasn't like BG was just going for this one shot. It was, hey, net's open. It doesn't matter where we're going to put that puck. So definitely an exciting game overall. BG, obviously, we mentioned, beat Kingswood, beat Laconia, won a Squamish Lakes, beat Sanborn Epping. They're at a 3-0 record right now. And see how they go. And then we
that Kingswood game was a regular season game at Merrill Fay?
It was they moved it to Rochester's arena. Because originally it was supposed to be at MFA because Kingswood is still building
theirs is open now.
Oh, it is?
Yeah,
okay.
They were doing some remodeling. I just saw, I think Josh Spalding on Twitter, I saw that they were just going to open up to public Friday. So.
Nice. And if I'm not mistaken, remodeling was they tore the whole building down.
Did they? I don't know. I haven't been over to Ham Arena in a while.
I was going to say, I heard that it was the Kingswood Arena was torn all the way down to just the pad where the ice was with the refrigeration in it, but then the building was rebuilt. So, I mean,
yeah,
if that's the case, I want to go check it out now.
I'm sure it's probably pretty nice, yeah.
State of the art.
It's a lot of money in Wolfboro.
Yeah, for sure. But, no, I mean, so that game was at Rochester. Originally supposed to be at MFA, but they moved it to Rochester. So, I mean, yeah. I mean, BG's just doing BG things, as you said pre-show.
Yeah, I mean, that's Isn't really a whole lot else to talk about. They were really good. They were always really good. They're going to continue to be really good until something happens.
Yeah, for sure. And I don't want to get into the details of like things, but there was a fight that happened in one of the games, and a couple of the players were put on suspension, and because it's kind of like in soccer, you get you get put on, you're not allowed to play for a game or two. And again, not going to name drop or talk about any other details about it, but even then, missing players, still a powerhouse. Like that says something about your program.
Yeah, I mean, if you can miss key guys and still outscore your opponents 20-3 in a week, you're in good shape.
Yeah,
I mean, it's still early, so you're gonna play the game the day that you're supposed to play, but
right, exactly.
I mean, they flexed their muscle. They did exactly what they were supposed to do.
Yeah,
they're supposed to go out and win those games, and they went out and won those games.
Yeah, exactly. It was. Yeah, I mean, it was a good week if you're a Bulldogs fan. Let's put it that way. And I mean, the last game I had on my list here was just St. Thomas and Inch Lakes, but we kind of already talked about that. Like I said, not what I expected. It was a close game, and St. Thomas just seems to be, I don't want to say a rebuilding year, because they're obviously not rebuilding, because they're strong, but definitely just seems to be growing and working with a new coach and everything. So it was definitely a good game, St. Thomas and Inch Lakes, for boys basketball. Just working with the new coach and learning and building and things like that. So definitely, I think overall that was a good game and very competitive.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about this game quite a bit already, and
right.
It's definitely. I mean, they changed my thought process a little bit. Not that I want spring to happen quicker, but like they were, you want them. You feel for those guys, like you want them to be good and play competitive, like both boys and girls. Like I coach just boys teams, but you still like want the teams in your school to do well and be competitive. And the Belmont game, you could just see that the guys just weren't happy. Things weren't going well. It's still so early. Like they're still in that figuring out process of what they think the team should look like and what their coach thinks the team should look like. And with it being a new coach, a lot of the guys don't have that kind of comfortability to kind of express themselves to Femia right now. So it's still like whatever he says goes, as opposed to some dialogue. Like I'll tell a guy I want him to do something, and then they'll come to be like, damn, can we try it this way? And I'm a little more open now. So you can see they're still trying to feel that part out. But I was glad that they played a competitive game, got back into it. I mean, that had all the writing on the wall of it being a blowout in that first quarter.
Right.
But once the kid from St. Thomas got into foul trouble and had to come out, you could tell that messed his rhythm up.
Right.
And then every time he came back in, the coaching staff was immediately basically relaying the information, like, this is the guy we're going to go after. We're going to attack number 4. We're going to try to get him back into foul trouble. We're going to try to get him back on the bench, because they knew right away from the very beginning, like, this is the head of the snake. If you can cut the head off, the rest of the team is going to have to figure it out how to work. And they did a pretty good job at controlling that.
Right.
And that's what you want to see going forward.
Right. No, for sure. And like I said, I think that there's definitely that, like talking about you saying like they need to control and learn how to, I don't want to say cope with it, but like work with it. I think that also goes back to, Coach Morissette being a new coach this year. He talking to him, I was just like, hey, how you feeling? Like pregame, he was like, I'm nervous. And I'm like, all right, and that's understandable, for a new coach. But
and we talked about it last week. I mean, there's 7 or 8 new coaches in Division III.
Mm-hmm.
So where the normal style of play, or if you reached out to a coach, you can just be like, oh, Guilford plays this way, Belmont plays that way, Interlakes plays this way, Laconia plays that way. There's even more. There's already an unknown, because you're dealing with COVID. Now you're dealing with new coaches, and you've got kids that could be sick or whatnot at any given time. So your unknowns are a little bit more prone, or they're larger.
Right.
And now here you are with 7 or 8 new coaches in Division III, and you have no idea, like, are we is Interlakes a primarily zone team all the time? Are we a man team? Are we a pressure team? Are we just a kind of take the ball out of, or take the air out of the ball and just try to take time off the clock and get a good shot? Or are we just get a rebound and push? Right. Like, so with so many teams in Division III that have new head coaches, it's going to be that little bit of a feeling out period to kind of see what trends they do, how they run their offenses, what defenses they run. I know there was a stretch in the St. Thomas game where we were playing a zone, scored, or we got to stop, then we scored and immediately went into a man. And you can tell St. Thomas wasn't ready for that. They weren't ready for that quick switch of defense. And then we got another stop, and then they went back into zone. So if you can successfully do that, that's just even more helping your case of just trying to keep things a little more difficult for your opponent.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. Yeah, couldn't have said it better, honestly. Not going to lie.
Yeah, you coach a few years, you get used to
that. So, okay, any final thoughts on what we covered this week? Anything before we talk about our upcoming schedule? I mean, we're only an hour in, so weird.
I know.
We're flying. It's weird.
Yeah.
By the way,
it's because you have the show sheet that has all of the things like broken down, and we talked about them all,
and we're
like in order,
and we're timing it.
And we haven't really gone off topic very much. We had a little World Cup stuff.
Which, by the way, it's at halftime, 2-0 Argentina.
Yeah, 2-0. France let me down.
Still got 45 minutes. It's fine.
Yeah, it'll be like 55. The worst part is like I'm a
Here we go.
Yeah, we'll get it back to soccer always. You want France to get back into it. You're like, you don't want this to be a 2-0 Argentina win or 3-0 or whatnot. But I want to see the game not end in PKs. Like, it's a great way to end if you're a win. It's not a really fun way to lose. And this is the world's biggest game. I mean, there's billions of people watching it right now. Like, we're in basically a baseball, softball kingdom here. There's a little bit of basketball hoops over there, but like baseball and softball is the be all end all in this building. And there were 20 guys standing around watching soccer over there.
Right.
And it's Argentina, France. It's not like it's U.S.
Right.
It's the world's game for a reason. And I know it's not as extremely popular over here in the United States or even here in New Hampshire where it's football. And don't get me wrong. I mean, I got 4 fantasy teams that I'm going through here in the next little bit. But I mean, you just want. I'm hoping France can do something here. Please, I'm begging you.
Why did you lay some money on the line?
I didn't put any money.
Oh, okay, all right. I was gonna say.
No. You get burned every so once. When you have the luck I have, you don't try to get burned as frequently as you probably should. But and I get it. Like, Messi's great, and Ronaldo's already been bounced out of here on his own doing. So you kind of want Messi to win that first one, but Mbappe is ready to take the throne and be the best player in the world. So I feel like he's going to do something here in this next 45. He's got to do something.
Fox should hire us to be the halftime show.
I know, right?
Hang
but we got to stay over here, though. We don't want to go over to Qatar. Things
that's
aren't
true.
good over there.
We can live stream it.
Yeah.
Satellite link.
Yeah,
here we go.
Exactly. Yeah.
So, anyways, moving on here to what this week on DPPG is going to look like. It's a 4-day week because of the holiday. The 23rd is Friday, so not a lot of games are happening because, Christmas Eve is Saturday, so you're going to have travel day and everything. But a 4-day week still means we're going to get 5 games in because we're crazy like that. First, tomorrow on Monday, we got boys basketball at Newfound versus Prospect Mountain. Then on Tuesday, girls basketball, Laconia versus Sanborn. On Wednesday, we have a doubleheader. We got ice hockey, Belmont Guilford versus Kennett, and then girls basketball at Interlakes versus Prospect Mountain. And then on Thursday, we got boys basketball, Guilford versus Stevens. So that is this week's schedule. I'm excited to see. We haven't seen Prospect boys yet. Haven't seen Newfound yet, so I'm excited to see them. Haven't seen Laconia at all for basketball. Interlakes girls we haven't seen. We've seen Prospect girls, but we haven't seen Interlakes girls.
Is that that's at Interlakes?
Yeah. So it'll be a fun week. And that girls' game at Inch Lakes, by the way, right now is going to be natural sound, no commentator. Just
It's a 5:15 start,
Yep.
too.
Yep, 5:15.
It was a 6 and then a 5 and now a 5:15 because of a bus issue. So,
Seems to be a common theme nowadays, bus issues. It's all good.
yeah, I mean,
The world we live in, we just make
Yeah.
do with it, right?
it's just the email. Can you do this? Can you do that? Can you do this? It's 15 minutes. Yeah, sure. You don't even have to ask. I'll be there.
Yeah.
As long as it's not moving further backwards.
Right.
You need me there early, just say so.
Right.
That's all.
But, no, I mean, we're like I said, 5 games, 4 days. Should be fun. As you see on that score, 2 basketball games, 2 girls games, and a hockey game.
What time is that BG Kennett game?
4 o'clock.
Oh, yeah, you'll definitely won't be done to motor over to Interlakes.
No, unfortunately.
How are you doing that? You going to just pay somebody to camera that?
Yeah, we got a crew. I got my crew.
Who's doing it?
It'll be Luke and Donna.
What's Haddix doing?
He's track and field. He runs indoor track.
Oh, does he?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool.
Yeah.
I was going to say, give him a headset.
I was thinking about it, but
Did
he's a little busy.
Did he do the game the other day?
Yeah.
He talked a little bit in that boys one?
A little bit.
Maybe
I think I can count the words on one hand.
Oh, yeah. Well,
He was also okay. I will say this.
it was his first day, wasn't
I was gonna say, yeah, it was his first game ever announcing. He did a great job, and as much as I, am picking on him, he did a great job.
Yeah, and I mean, this isn't the easiest thing to say because, yeah, it is live streamed, and what you don't want to sound like an idiot.
Yeah.
But he's a good kid. He'll figure this out.
Oh, yeah.
I'd love to hear him do a game.
Yeah, no, he unfortunately, like I said, he has indoor track.
Yeah.
And us, when we hire student athletes, it's always go be a student athlete first before this.
Exactly.
Because you're going to work the rest of your life. Go enjoy.
It's funny
your
you
time
say
now.
that because we try so hard to. I know I do to reiterate that fact that. And I get that, not everyone's going to love soccer. Not everyone's going to love basketball. Not everyone's going to love baseball or track or hockey or whatever it is. And I get that, the almighty dollar rules all. I get that. I understand it. I'm been doing the adult thing now for a while. Kinda. But it's exactly your point. You have a 4-year window here where you're guaranteed athletic events. Whatever sport you choose. When you turn 17, 18, whatnot, that generally goes away. I mean, you have your intramural in college and your men's league or women's hockey or whatnot that you can do as an adult. You're going to be working for 50, 60, 70 years. And if you're fortunate enough to find something you enjoy, it's not really work. If you find something that isn't as enjoyable, then it's not as fun to get up and do every day. So as a coach, we try to not necessarily put pressure, but encourage. Mm-hmm. We're a small school, very, very small. I don't think we've cut anybody from a program in 10 years, probably longer. I haven't. Mm-hmm. It's just unreal. I mean, just the amount of guys that I'm like, damn, I got to work this winter. I can't do this. I'm not going to be able to do this because of work or that because of work. And you feel for the kid because, gas is expensive. It's coming down now, but it's just like you said. You're gonna work for years and years and years. So take full advantage of the opportunities that you can get.
Right.
While you have them.
And that's exactly what I say to the kids is when they're prime example. Last year, one of my employees, she was going to work a graduation with me. I checked in with her 2 weeks before, and she was like, "Oh my goodness, I'm sorry. I told my friend I'd go to prom with her." And she was like, "But I can get out of it." And I was like, "No, don't get out of it. Go to prom." And she was like, "Well, I'm just," like, she was just like, it's just a friend. Like, I'm just going to, I'm like, "No, go have fun," because, she graduated last year. She's never going to have a prom again. Or I mean, my parents' friend PJ went to prom until he was like 25. He looked like he was 12. But in paper.
But I mean, realistically, those are those things that you don't get to do all the time.
Exactly.
It happens once, twice, maybe if you're lucky. Like, go and be a kid first.
Right. Exactly.
Enjoy the youth. I mean, you don't need to be in such a hurry to grow up sometimes.
Exactly. I mean, and that same person, actually, we were possibly going to live stream a championship game last year, and she was like, actually, can I just go as a fan? And I'm like, yeah. You only get to be a high school kid at a championship game once.
Unless you're at Guilford.
Gotta get his shots in.
It's not a dig. I mean, they were really good this fall. They went to how many? 3, 4, 5?
4, 5, 8, 9, 12, the whole school. But no, I mean, definitely, like, that's what I tell people. I'm just like, hey, go be a kid. Like, I'll figure it out. It's the day that all of them decide to go be a kid, and I got nobody. Then that's when it gets a little tough.
Hey, you just put the headset on, broadcast yourself, and pan the camera as we go.
Hey, been there, done that. But yeah, I mean, ultimately, like, that's what I don't want to say preach, but I'm just like, go be a kid.
Yeah.
Go enjoy the time of your life now. And I mean, even the athletes who graduate and go to college and come back and work for me, it's like, well, if you're home for the month and your friends invite you to go back to campus for a game, go.
Yeah.
Like, if you want to go, don't sit there and be like, oh, I got to work a game. No. Go have fun.
Yeah.
Go be a college kid. So definitely. Anyways, I don't even know how we got off on that rant.
Yeah, it was just one of those weird tangents that happened.
Sidetrack.
Yeah.
Second half, by the way, the World Cup restarted. 8 minutes in. You're a little delayed, sorry.
Yeah, I'm at the 47th minute, 48th minute right now.
That's the difference between cable and streaming. Darn it. Anyways, so that's this week's schedule. 2 boys games, 2 girls games, an ice hockey game. Super excited for that. It's going to be a lot of fun. And then, of course, after this week, we have Christmas and then the holiday tournament next week. So that's exciting. We're pulling everything together. We want to say thank you to everybody who, after last week, reached out and became sponsors of us. Like, literally, we got a flood of people. We're still short of our budget goal. So if you're interested or someone you know has a small business and wants to be a sponsor, definitely reach out. I would say the 22nd would probably be the cutoff. The deadline, allowing me some time to edit that commercial break and things like that. But definitely reach out. We'd love to have you and love to showcase your business or organization. Anyways, we spent too much time last week talking about sponsorships, so we won't talk about that anymore.
I mean,
but definitely reach out.
It's a great thing. Join if you can. If you can't, you can't.
It's understandable.
Yeah.
It's all good. But no, so excited for this week.
It was a great volley.
Oh,
I made a great save on it. People have already seen it. It was 5 minutes ago, probably. But.
Game's over.
Feels that way.
The game's over. Dan's just like 2 hours behind. It's fine. He's in a different time zone. No, but I mean, definitely, like I said, it's going to be a fun week. Seeing Prospect Mountain boys for the first time against Newfound. We haven't seen them play Newfound, or haven't seen Newfound at all yet. Haven't even streamed in Newfound's gym, so I'm excited to.
I believe they got new bleachers this year.
Yeah, I'm excited to check off another venue.
Have you ever live streamed over there?
Soccer, outside, and field hockey, but nothing inside yet. Yeah. We wanted to do volleyball, but they didn't have the bleachers in yet. So I think they were playing in the middle school. And the athletic director was like, not a lot of room here.
Yeah, Tibby. Yeah.
And he's a great guy.
UAD.
Yep, love Jacob. But, yeah, so we just never got over there for volleyball. We will next year, don't worry. But super excited to go into that gym. We were there Thursday morning doing a network test, and everything seemed to work.
Hey, I mean, if you were able to live stream the boys' St. Thomas game on the Interlinks Wi-Fi, you should be able to have no problem over there. I mean, Bristol is a little bit of a dead zone.
It's fine.
Service-wise, but
yeah,
if you're connected, you're good.
Hey, we've made dead zones work, so I don't know how, but we go somewhere and someone's sitting next to the trailer going, I got no data, and I'm just like streaming a full soccer game. It's like, aha.
Exactly.
Aha, signal booster. Anyways, so yeah, I mean, if you have no final thoughts, we can wrap this up early.
Yeah, I mean,
it's weird.
I don't know when the monthly card show is for January. I can't not get a plug-in for Foley, absolutely.
Yep.
Other than that, no, I don't have a whole lot. I know we won't be doing anything, next Sunday because of Christmas.
Yeah. And then the Sunday after that's New Year's.
Yeah. And then the Sundays after that, I've got to, be an adult. So we might have to do some midweek stuff. I know I'll see you. Oh, I won't see you at the Prospect Mountain girls game because you'll be calling hockey.
Mm-hmm. Well, we'll run into each other. Wait now for the holiday tournament.
Yeah, I'll be there for the holiday
He's
tournament.
going to be the guy who does the halftime show and the pregame show along with somebody else. We're still working on the other person, but he's going to be half of the crew for that. So
yeah,
if you
and
don't,
I'll be at I'll be at a good portion of those Interlinks games too. So
yeah, it'll be fun. Yeah, no, the next guaranteed sports show for us, by the way, is January 8th. Not sure who I'll be doing it with. It might just be me sitting here.
Sitting in the middle,
You know,
doing it all, yeah.
talking about sports and trying to make it seem like I know what I'm talking about. But January 8th, like I said, that's the next guaranteed sports show episode. The holidays are really just throwing everything off. You know,
I know, it's a real pain. It's really a pain.
Yeah. I mean,
honestly.
I don't know how many high school kids have told me they're upset that Christmas and New Year's fell on Sundays because they shortened their week off.
Exactly.
I'm like,
yeah,
really?
I'm
like,
yeah, because they go back to school, that Tuesday probably?
Yeah, so they're like, we only got 15
like
days off. And I'm like, only 15 days, like including the weekends.
Right?
I'm like,
Shucks, yeah.
I remember 1 year in
just wait
school,
until you get a
like,
job and you only take those days off and that's it.
That's true. That's true. Or you own a small business and you have
no days
off.
Yeah, I mean, I worked yesterday. I've got today off. Back to work tomorrow. So
this is day 7 in a row.
Yeah. Well, no, you had Friday off, right? Snowstorm.
All right, fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Even though then I was ultimately taking care of snow duty at home, so it wasn't really a day off.
Yeah, no, I hear you there.
Anyways, no, I mean, I don't even know. Oh, yeah, so because of the way the holidays fall, we just can't, necessarily do a show next week because I don't think Elite's open on Christmas Day. Could you imagine? Let's open presents together. Merry Christmas. Special Christmas show. For that, I'd bring in a tree. Full-fledged Christmas tree ornaments.
Yeah. If we're going to do it big, right?
Yeah, right. But no, we might do a show midweek, maybe from the holiday tournament. Who knows? So we'll figure that out, and we'll keep you obviously up to date on that. Definitely January 8th is when we'll come back, and that'll be fun. It'll be great. It's New Year, basketball season will be now getting into that full swing at that point, and it'll be good. It'll be a good time. So, yeah. One last thing. My friend Jess is traveling out west today to see her sister. I told her to watch and make fun of my outfit, and I realized I never actually turned the outfit on. Have you seen this?
Oh, wow. Would you look at that?
So, this one's, you can't. There you go. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I can't believe we waited an hour and 15 minutes to get that thing going.
My bad.
You wore it last week, too, and it didn't do that.
No, that was a different one last week. I have 2 of these.
Oh, geez. I thought it was the same sport coat.
So, yep. This one's for you, Jess. Hopefully you're having some safe. Your travels are safe out west or to the west. Also, Merry Christmas to everybody.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we won't see anybody. We won't see people until after Christmas anyway. So
yeah, exactly.
Happy holidays.
Exactly. So yeah, if you have no final thoughts,
no, speechless.
Wow, you okay?
Yeah.
Is it because of the World Cup?
Yeah, World Cup's not going good right now. Not if you're rooting for France.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we want to say thank you all so much for tuning in. Great show. Thanks for those of you who chimed in on Facebook and commented and things like that. We appreciate the support and the voices. Definitely spread the word. We want to keep growing this. And we'll get there eventually. We'll be as big as, Colin Hurd on Fox Sports 1.
We'll be at the ESPN level here in no time whatsoever.
We got this.
Change that DPPG logo is going to be national.
Yeah, we're working on it. But we're going to get bought out by a national company.
Hey,
then
retire.
Yeah, there you go. 23-year-old retires.
Wouldn't that be nice?
Bam. Anyways, that would be my luck. Once again, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, Happy Holidays to everybody. No matter what you celebrate, we hope you have a great time with family and friends. And, of course, Happy New Year. We'll probably talk to you before then, but if not, hopefully you bring in 2023 with a bang, a good bang. No bad bangs. But, yeah, that's going to do it for this week's show. So for Dan Kernan, my name's Devin Poslusny. I want to say once again, thank you all so much for tuning in, and happy holidays.